Hello, I am Valerie and welcome to my channel.
It's my fourth
one.
journal.
And your name is?
Gavin.
Gavin. I even write him little pieces of paper to remember that I'm trying to get him to say more of the things that we talk about. Me and him talk about the subjects and then we try to sit down and record them. This is Wednesday and we're going to talk about a couple of different topics today. Since we didn't record on Monday or Tuesday, we're kind of focusing on a lot of this other schoolwork, and then we're going to talk about a couple of topics at once this week. And the first thing that we thought that we would do is the week before last on Friday, we talked about numbers, and today I figured we would talk about what numbers we shared then and what numbers. So that was over a week ago, a week and a half ago ish, and we would compare the numbers. And so me and Gavin have talked about these numbers. They're much higher, right? Which, how do you feel when you hear those kind of numbers? It's a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people sick, but there's a lot of people who aren't sick, and we're quarantining to do what?
Get less people sick.
Get less people sick. So, in comparison, last time there were 17,030 people that were positive. A week and a half later, we are now at 25,258, which is a big difference. But the numbers are starting to go down day by day. There's less positive cases than what they were the day before, which is a good thing. I mean, less people are getting sick each day or testing positive each day. So we're starting to lower that number in a sense. It just, you see that big number. That's all the people that have been sick during this time. Last time we said that there was however, I talked about ventilators, and it wasn't how many people were on ventilators. I must have wrote or said something wrong. And I noticed that because my comparison number today would have, well, I don't know, on ventilators, but I think I used how many people were in the hospital instead of who was on ventilators. There's hospitals, and then there's a separate number for ventilators. And I said how many people were in the hospital on ventilators, and that wasn't actually it. So if you watched that video, that number was off. But there's 1,747 people in the hospital right now. And there's 287 people, according to today's number, that are on ventilators. So I wanted to give both of those numbers separately in this video because it makes more sense. Last time there was 652 deaths. This time it's 1,473.
That went up too much.
That went up way, way too much. So I didn't write down the numbers for New Orleans, Jefferson, St. Bernard, or Baton Rouge in comparison. I just wanted to talk about the main numbers because last time I kind of talked about different areas, so I could tell him like where different people were at. But since we kind of already talked about different numbers, maybe we'll later on this week we'll look at the numbers from that Friday compared to this Friday in those specific areas, and that'll give us something to talk about this coming Friday. And so before I move on to the next topic, I wanted to talk a little bit more to him about numbers, and so we could kind of get his thoughts on how he views different things. So with that many positive numbers out there, does that 25,258 people scare you? But you aren't going out in the public, so why does that scare you?
Because it's spreading.
Now, I want to make you look at it in a different perspective. I want you to look at that number and say, that's 25,258 people all together. They've been testing people for weeks and weeks and weeks now. The people who tested positive 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, that tested positive, they're no longer sick anymore. That's how many positive people that are positive right now. That's how many positive people all together.
That got had positive?
They had positive, but a lot of people have gotten better.
Not all.
Right. I think, I don't know exactly, but there was 300, 400-ish. Let's round it because I don't know the exact number for today. that were tested positive as of yesterday. Those numbers came in. They probably were tested a couple of days ago. Those numbers came in now, and that's how many people tested positive recently. You know, so the people in the last 2 weeks, those people are probably still positive because they just recently found out, they're getting better, or they're in the hospital. Some probably also did lose their lives, sadly. But I just want you to realize that that's not how many people are out there sick right now fighting this. So that makes it a little bit more better to think about that way. Do you think that that makes it any less scarier of a disease or illness?
No.
No. Exactly. And I think that you're right on that. I think that this is scary, and right now we're all stuck inside. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, as our subject 2 is going to be things opening back up and our thoughts on that. And
we're no longer free for it now.
So right now we're stuck inside, and we're limiting who we are around a lot. So
Yep.
now the number of people passing away. So in less than a week and a half, it went from 652 to 1,473. I feel like I even wrote that number wrong. That number just seems so big to me. Like, I feel like I need to go double check myself, but that's probably right. And that's sad. Why do you think that so many more people have died?
Because people are partying.
No, I don't think that's necessarily it. I think that it's starting to get to the process point where people have now been sick for an extended period of time, and that this doesn't always happen super fast. People go on breathing machines and things like that, and then there's a lot of people, like those people on ventilators right now. There's 287 people on ventilators. Once you get on a ventilator, it's harder to recover from. There are people who do, though, so don't think that all those people are going to pass away, because they're not. If that was the case, they wouldn't even try. I just want you to know that. But they're not going to pass. Some will pass away in a day or two, and some people might take longer for that. Their bodies might fight harder, but still might not be able to win that battle. And there are people that will win that battle, and they will be able to walk out that hospital, and they'll be able to be fine. So I just want you to understand those numbers a little bit more and how to look at them a little bit differently before we move on to the next subject. Okay, next subject is people are now talking reopening phases. Do you know what? I don't think we've talked about this when we talked about the reopening portion of this video, but the phases, do you know what phases mean? The government's going to have phases. In each parish, each state is going to look different. It's going to be how they allow things to reopen. Everything's not going to reopen at once. Why isn't everything going to open up at once? Because too many people would everything would be open, everything would be working as it was before. And right now we got to take it easy to where it slowly opens back up. That way when people who might be sick get out,
I'll say
that the numbers rise, they don't rise too fast.
Open up things for 2 weeks, then close for a while, then...
That's how you would do it?
So,
do you think that you think that they know what they're going to do? You think they know if it's going to work 100%?
Mm-mm.
Do you think that they know what next year is going to look like?
No.
See, me and him talked about certain different things, and I just figured I would wing it, ask him some questions. I think you're right on both of those answers. I don't think that they know what next year is going to look like. Do you think that you're going to... This is a good question. Do you think you're going to be able to attend actual school next year?
Nope.
No? I think it's a possibility. I also think there's a possibility that it might start and it might close down again. We don't know.
I'd kind of be happy.
All this is what? It's kind of like science. It's like an experiment, right?
Rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's social experiment science. Social distancing experiment science at its best. Hot mess.
Nothing about it can be a rocket science because it ain't a rocket.
So, if you could choose the one place that would open up today, what would you choose for it to be? I don't even know this answer. I think it's one of the two things that he's going to say.
Oh no.
And I'll tell you if it was one of the two things I thought when you say it. What is one thing that you would should open up today? And be safe, that you know it would be safe to do.
Cruise ships?
Cruise ships. That isn't neither one of the things I thought. You want to know the two things I thought? Hold on. You want to see if you can guess them? We can't wait too long.
If I could read Mama's mind.
We would be in trouble. I thought you were going to say hibachi or a trampoline place because he talked about hibachi today. He talks about hibachi almost every day.
Hibachi.
I'm gonna make him a hibachi. It's one of my meals in my meal plan. Not tonight. We don't have leftovers for tonight. We had barbecue today, right? Mm-hmm. How's school been going? Going better or just as rocky as it was in the beginning?
Same as the beginning.
It's not the same as beginning at all. No, it's not.
It is.
The battery's going dead, so I'm gonna have to switch to the battery and edit this video afterwards. Hold on one moment.
I think it is.
You won't even know that we were gone. We have a new battery, although it's not 100% charged, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so we talked about some things reopening a little bit. I wanted to touch on that subject because that's the new thing that everybody's talking about. When are we going to stop reopening? I do know things that are reopening. We know Gavin's first thing that he wants open. I can promise him, well, I don't know, restaurants actually might open up earlier than some things, and I think some small businesses could be the first to open up because they have less people that come into places. Some of the bigger places that have a lot more people that go to them, that wouldn't open up because there'd be too much traffic. Like a school can't open back up. Mm-hmm. That's why it's probably closed, right? What? All right. The next thing I wanted to talk to him about is his thoughts on how we could stay safe once things are opening back up. Because I know that once things open back up, the virus is still around. We still have the potential of getting it. And if things are going to open back up, that means we're going to be around more people. And so I figured we could talk about how we could stay safe while things are also open back up. Things that you wouldn't have done before. Some different measures. So you ready to talk about that? Mm-hmm. All right.
What things do you want to open back up?
What things do I want to open back up?
Mm-hmm.
I would say restaurants.
What
restaurants? Any restaurants. Really. I miss going on dates with my husband. I miss eating breakfasts with him. We always went out and had breakfast before work. So, look, put your hands on your lap. Because you're shaking the camera so bad. There's no way for me to fix that, which means whoever's watching this video, I apologize in advance. He's probably been doing it the whole time. But Gavin also isn't on his... That's one thing during his quarantine we haven't talked about is that he doesn't take his medicine while in quarantine. It's one-on-one learning, so he can grasp what he needs to grasp. He's probably not as focused as he would be on his medicine. He probably would talk more in his journals. But I figured I'd rather do this and engage with him and him to at least express his feelings than to write, because I really think that he would just jot down random stuff just to get it done. And this is, to me, giving him information, feeding him information, and then pulling that information from him. So anyway, on to our third subject, since today is Wednesday. We already know Fridays. When I figured out Fridays, just sitting here that we're going to compare the numbers of different areas of Louisiana from last time to this time. That would include New Orleans, Jefferson, St. Bernard, and Baton Rouge, because those are the ones that we talked about in that video, and we'll compare those numbers.
What's the other thing we'll open back up instead of restaurants?
Other things I would want to open back up. Probably my work, so I could have a job. So.
You still getting paid?
Yeah. So, anyway, what are some things that you think that we might have to change in our life or our lifestyle that would help us stop tapping on the table, help us stay safe once things start opening back up? Mm-hmm. What are some things? I'm asking you. All right. So, me and him discussed the subject a little bit more because we talked about it way earlier in the morning so we can make our list, and he drew a blank. So now it literally took me like naming them for him to be like, I remember them. What are some of the things that you and I have talked about that would help with the fact of things opening back up?
Social distancing, washing hands, even more. No touching the face, more testing.
He's reading on a list that we wrote. Masks.
Masks and gloves.
And learning more about disease. So those are the things that we listed. I wanted him to be able to look down at them and for us to talk about each one, but that's okay. So what did we say about why would we do social distance, still do some social distancing? Limiting what we do. Why would that help?
Because it's still not trying to interact with the virus.
True. And
That's not what to.
Slowly interacting with people. We don't want to just go out and
Party.
Yes, that's exactly right. We do not want to go out and just start seeing everyone, because you just never know that if you're sick, you got to be careful, especially with the same people that you've been being careful for. Your older people, the people with conditions. So that's obvious that we would still semi-social distance and see where it goes. Keep an eye. One of the things that we did not list that I think is that we need to always keep an eye on those numbers. I think that we need to watch those numbers and make sure that we're not going in a completely wrong direction before it's too late. So the next thing you said was wash your hands more, not touch your face. That was one of the things that he automatically said. But why is that? Why would we continue washing our hands like crazy? Although that's something we should always be doing.
I do. Because you never know, you might touch something that had the virus on it, so you might want to wash your hands.
Yep. And not touching your face eliminates the virus from getting to your face and eliminates you from getting the virus. So one of the new things that Gavin really didn't bring up, I brought it up. And it's probably because he doesn't leave the house with us if we run to go do a grocery store pickup. Or even like when they ride bikes, they're not going around other people. He's only rode his bike outside of our neighborhood once and wearing masks. He hasn't seen, do you think it would be weird to walk in Walmart and everybody you see has a mask on their face?
Not really.
I mean, let's say if you leave and you go to school and everybody had masks on their face, probably would have never pictured that, right?
Kind of would.
You kind of would. Not me. I felt funny the first time I wore a mask and had to go to a grocery store pickup, but then everybody was wearing masks on their face. And that's something that I think everybody should be doing. It protects the person that you are around from you, and it protects you from them. More testing. That was something that I told him, and we talked about. Why more testing? Why do we need to do more testing than what we don't even doing now?
Because of the fact, you know you have corona, so you always want to check. So, there's probably some people that have corona that need to be tested, but can't.
Exactly. And if you're going to let everybody go out and about, you need to be able to test people whenever they want it or need it. It should be no questions asked. So more testing so we can control how the numbers actually look. And to test for the opposite to see if you have had it. Whether or not that keeps you safe from getting it again isn't so much yet, because I don't think that they know for sure if you can get it again or not, or how soon you might be able to get it, how much that whatever they call it.
Get it again, because
it might protect you for a short time. It might protect you for life. It might, depending on how bad you got it. All of that, I don't think they know that yet, but I think that will at least let us know how bad the spread was before. to understand how bad the spread was before and how much it's spreading again or how much it's spreading now is a reason to do both those tests. I think both of those things need to be done in abundance before things just start opening up, because my biggest fear is that this is going to go absolutely nuts if things start opening back up, and that they don't understand it enough to understand it. And I want them to learn more about the COVID. I want them to understand this more. I want to then find better medicines. So those are the kind of things that I thought that we would talk about when it comes to opening back up America, opening back up Louisiana, opening back up my neighborhood. I don't know, like anything.
It better not put us back up. I hope not.
Gavin doesn't want to open things back up. In fact, where's your brother right now?
At my dad's.
At his dad's.
For
and
a
Gavin,
week.
he went over there and he's staying until this weekend, so he would have been there for a week. And Gavin didn't want to go. He was too worried about going. His dad's still working. That's his older brother.
Hey, Nick.
Back there. But we're finished with this video for today. We'll see you tomorrow and Friday.
Since we've been in quarantine, we showed you a lot of things, but we never showed you our room. This is my brother's bed, and this is my bed. These are posters. I like old cars and fast cars, like over here. This is where me and my brother game at. This is where our cars are at. I like fast cars, old cars. My dream car is this one. I want to have a car like this one day. A Lamborghini Veneno.
Cool.
Exactly like that.
Why don't you show them where you do work at if you have to work in here? If one of you or your brother needs to, if one of them needs to work in the front living room and listen to a video, we bought this off of Amazon, and it wheels around. It goes up and down so they can sit in their bed or they can sit by the sofa and they can work.
I have my book right here.
He has his book that he's been reading there. And this is their room.
I like my room.
We've been redoing it. We have a couple of things that we want to add and change. But for right now, this is their room. That's Gavin's bed over there. And those are brand new. Those just came in, huh? Yep.
So this is my room, you know. I have to do more schoolwork.
Hello.
Hi.
We are now doing Friday's video. We are a couple of days behind, but that's okay. We're now at Monday, but we want to still come in and we wanted to compare the numbers, because we said in the beginning of the video that we wanted to compare the numbers to what they were at in the video from 2 weeks ago till now. So it's a little over 2 weeks, right, that we did this. And so Arlene's back then was at 5,070. And now they're at what?
6,365.
And that's a difference of?
1,295.
Yes, 1,295 new cases in a little over 2 weeks, which isn't bad. It was much more before that. We're getting better. So let's hope we just keep on striding that way. The next area is Jefferson Parish. We are in Jefferson Parish, so I wanted to make sure that we talked about those numbers. Last time we were at 4,092 cases, and now we're at what?
6,104.
Yes. So as of today, we're at 6,104, and that is 2,015 new cases in the last 2.3 weeks. So another area we want to talk about is Baton Rouge. A lot of people will know New Orleans, and a lot of people know Baton Rouge. So we figured last time we said it was 985, and this time it's 1,771. So that's a difference of how many new cases?
784.
Yeah, so they basically doubled what they had before, almost. So they kind of went up a lot more, but they're still way behind a lot of other places like New Orleans and Jefferson. So, and the last place that I chose to talk about last time was St. Bernard. St. Bernard is an area that we used to live in, and two, I grew up in. And so St. Bernard, Louisiana was at 304 last time, and now they're at 449. So that's a difference of how many cases? 145 cases. So obviously there's a lot of other parishes and areas in Louisiana that we don't have on this list. We figured we'd utilize the ones that people would know and or the places that we've lived and share that. But we are done with this week's journal. We are gonna say bye. We're actually gonna hop right into this week's journal because, like I said, we are a little bit behind, but that's okay. We were having some technical difficulties.